altcoin prices are rising, and this is just the start, because they will pump like crazy prove that altcoins are about to get moving in a big way. I'm also going to update you on my personal portfolio and showing you the altcoins that I've been buying into over the past few days and weeks. Do me a favor, hit the like button, and let's get into today's video. Now, if you needed any proof that your altcoins would do well as soon as Bitcoin broke above all-time highs, it should be this. In just the last 2 days, Bitcoin's pumped a whopping 4%. Which is not really that much at all. And as you jump across to the crypto bubbles, that translates into 20% for coins like Bonk and Fartcoin, and for WIF, 16%, WorldCoin, 9%, Virtuals 13%. We are seeing a lot of altcoins showing strength, and it's not just the larger cap coins. If you look down the list, you've got coins like Swarms up 38%, NAM up 26%, and a bunch of others doing really well. And this is just the start, because if you've seen an altcoin season before, there's days where you will start to get bored with seeing your coin only being up 30 or 40%. And jumping across to the Bitcoin chart is where the keys lie to the next moves, because Bitcoin is running into a zone right now which has been stuck underneath since back in December. This is a long time for Bitcoin never really to break with conviction above all-time highs, and typically altcoins don't really perform that well until Bitcoin breaks clearly above previous highs and shows intent to go higher. We saw this at the end of last year towards the US election. Bitcoin and a number of alts like Sui and Solana had pretty strong runs, but nothing really got running until Bitcoin cleanly broke that all-time high back on the 5th or 6th of November. After that, we saw XRP doing 5 or 6x, HBAR doing 8x, Cardano doing a 7 or 8x, and a lot of smaller cap altcoins doing 15, 20, maybe even 30x's in just a short period of time. But that was even when the liquidity wasn't really there to support a full-blown bull market like it's starting to come into the markets now. So what's going on? Right now we can see that Bitcoin has broken beyond this symmetrical triangle pattern. Now, you could call it whatever you want. Obviously, we had this fake out towards the downside, and we are starting to move higher here. Now, this next part can happen incredibly quickly, and I've been rushing to try and get this video out because I do think we haven't got much time left. This is the liquidation heat map over on CoinGlass. And why I don't think we've got much time left is this. You see this yellow area here above the Bitcoin price? This is literally billions of dollars of short positions stacked up against Bitcoin. So billions of dollars of short positions will get liquidated. So let's think about what that means for a moment. It means all of those sell orders that we currently see right now will get flipped into buy orders whether people like it or not. And this is to the tune of around $27 billion. So Bitcoin, which has already pretty much run out of supply, there is actually no supply left on exchanges anymore, will suddenly flip and have $27 billion worth of buy positions opened up. And that will catapult Bitcoin into blue sky territory, sending it significantly higher at an aggressive rate. That signals to the entire market that we're risk on, we're ready to go, altcoins can start pumping. And because of this, we're going to see money starting to be pulled back into this bull market, market makers injecting money into altcoins, and the whole market waking up once more, like it did back in November. And those liquidation levels sit at around $111,000. So the question right now is, where does Bitcoin go from this breakout in the short term? Well, it's quite difficult when you look beyond all-time highs because there's obviously no previous data to show you previous areas of support and resistance. So you have to kind of go and do other things. You have to look at technical details like chart patterns. Let's say here that this is a bull flag of sorts, which means that we then have a target price, which is the height of this flagpole from that breakout point. And that, theoretically, would take Bitcoin up to $164,000. Now, that doesn't go up in a straight line, okay? There's obviously a chance for chop around. We could see a breakup, it could come back to retest, and then continue on its way. Other things we could look at for short-term moves, where we might find some resistance, would be to take the swing high to the swing low here for the Fibonacci retrace. Interestingly, the 2.618 perfectly aligns with that flagpole pattern up here. In the short term, we would typically see a bit of resistance around the 1.618, although obviously it's not written in stone. There's a lot of other factors at play behind the scenes that we're not aware of. Okay, injections of money from banks, market makers, ETFs, all this other stuff going on. Bitcoin, we know, is obviously highly manipulated, but it's ready to send. BlackRock have obviously filled their bags. Donald Trump, who's been buying like crazy, has been filling up on Ethereum, Bitcoin, etc. Everybody is stacked up and ready. The only people who aren't ready are the people who kind of walked away from crypto, who thought that it was a scam, didn't know what was going on. But those people will be back, and they'll be forced to FOMO into the market, adding more fuel to this fire. Every single thing around right now points to a major bull market ahead, because we've been in a contracting market that will then move into an expanding market. Now, I talk about this a lot over on my Twitter page, so if you're not already following me over there, Peter_THOC, make sure you are, because I talk about a lot of things that I'm seeing, different projects and coins that I'm getting into. I've been talking about breakouts, talked about this one 6 hours ago, and obviously right now I'm making this video, it probably won't go live for a couple of hours. So if you want to get up-to-date data and information, different projects, etc., then follow me over on Twitter. I'll also be running some competitions in the future, giving away crypto and other sort of exciting prizes for people who follow me over there. Now, this is one of the key things to pay attention to. We obviously know that Bitcoin has been closely following the M2 money supply, right? It's been happening pretty much for years. We had this pullback the other day, perfectly reflected in the Bitcoin price pulling back. It's then rallied towards the upside, which is what we're seeing happen right now. And we can see that this is going to continue to aggressively rally pretty much until at least September at this point, and probably then on into the future. We know then that this is really good for Bitcoin, but times like this have been pretty painful for the altcoins, despite not having an effect on Bitcoin. So I understand why people have been cautious. But actually, if you realize that M2 drives Bitcoin and altcoins eventually follow up with Bitcoin, you're kind of halfway there. But there's another thing that's been quite closely linked to how altcoins perform, and it's the ISM, which is effectively the manufacturing index in the US. It shows how many services are being sold, how many physical items are being produced, being bought, etc. It shows how much money people effectively have, shows the health of the economy. And when the ISM is over 50, altcoins run like crazy. Even when it's moving up towards 50, they can push like crazy. And just the other day, the ISM numbers came in higher than expected. But the ISM follows the GMI financial conditions. And as you can see, with a 9-month lead, the GMI financial conditions are very closely aligned to ISM. And as you can see, this GMI continues to climb, telling us that the ISM numbers are going to be continuing to grow from here. And just look at how closely the ISM aligns with altcoins. As soon as we see the ISM, which is this white line, starting to pick up between 2020 and 2021, we get the altcoin season for the last bull market. We've then seen the ISM a little bit under 50 over the past year or so, with the exception of around December, where it ran up to being over 50. At this point, we had that mini altcoin season back in December, where a lot of altcoins pumped like crazy. And since we know that the ISM is going to be continuing higher, that Bitcoin is on the verge of breaking towards the upside because it's following M2, and that this ISM will then be pushed above 50, triggering altcoins to start pumping, we know where we're headed. We've seen the lows of all the fear around tariffs and World War III and everything else, and that couldn't shake the markets hard enough, okay? Because Bitcoin now back above $110,000 right now. Things are looking incredibly good. Does it mean that it has to break out of all-time highs today? No. Does it have to be tomorrow? No. But in my opinion, it's pretty much the last chance saloon. In my opinion, we are about to send it, because as soon as we break into that area of liquidity, there is literally no going back. Now, here's another incredibly interesting chart, which is the total 3 chart versus the coin price. Now, coin is a NASDAQ-listed Coinbase stock. Okay, so when Coinbase is doing well, altcoins tend to do well. And as you can see, this pink line, which is the coin price, which is the stock of Coinbase, is incredibly closely aligned to Total 3. Total 3 is the crypto market minus Bitcoin and Ethereum. Effectively, it's the altcoins. When Coinbase is doing well, altcoins do well. And as you can see, Coinbase has pumped like crazy, and the altcoins are lagging behind. This means that we're likely to start seeing catch up very quickly, like we did back here in 2024. You can see this coin line moves up very aggressively, and then just after it, the altcoins start to get running. Again, here you start to see spikes up in the Coinbase stock, and then the week after, we see this massive rally towards the upside for Total 3, taking the valuation from around $400 billion to nearly $1 trillion. And something else to note is this. Back in December, Bitcoin started to stop out around these levels. It did reach up to around $108,000, so we're higher than those prices now because we're at $110,000. But Total 2, which is the crypto market minus Bitcoin, is still lagging down from where it was back in December. Around 29% down, in fact, which means that we then have to see a lot of altcoins playing catch up once more over here. And just as you look across the board, literally every chart is begging to break out. This is the total 3 chart, which is the altcoin market minus Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's literally stacked up, waiting to break beyond here. Now, this next move has to happen incredibly fast. Why does it have to happen incredibly fast? Because it has to catch a lot of people off guard. Okay, the market makers will use this move to drag people running back into the market. And while you might be bullish right now, obviously you've been subscribed to the House of Crypto since at least April or probably before that, and you've seen that despite seeing lows and all the fear and all the drama we've seen over the time, that we've just stayed bullish because we know where the market economy is taking us, and because we've known what's happening with M2, we've known what's happening with the ISM and other things like that. Many people are still feeling disbelief. They're not ready yet. They're not sure whether or not this is even a pump they can trust. They've got PTSD because of all the failed breakouts that we've seen so far. And when this happens incredibly fast, they're suddenly going to realize that this is actually a real pump. They're going to be forced to buy back in after selling the lows here, after selling the lows back here, which is typically what people have done each time, because this was the tariff fears. We then had the fears around the World War III that basically never happened. And then things suddenly get exciting again. Okay, you can see this is stacked up in this symmetrical triangle pattern. This is the others chart, which is the altcoins outside of the top 10. It's stacked up in this symmetrical triangle pattern, ready to break higher. And look, this was what happened back on the 4th of November, 5th of November last year, when the Bitcoin price broke beyond all-time highs. And this is reflected in all sorts of other charts. This is the Ethereum price from back in the last bull market on the weekly chart. Just look at this. It had a fake out towards the downside. It's been breaking around here. Eventually, Ethereum will break and send up here, probably to around $7,500, maybe up to $9,000, maybe even beyond. Cardano, one of the first to pump back in November, is playing around in this bull flag pattern here, showing intent to move higher. XRP is starting to emerge from this, where it's been stuck underneath since the 20th of January. And yes, you might not hold XRP, you might not hold Cardano. Okay, I personally don't. Nothing against those coins. Okay, they'll probably do quite well. I have more conviction in like Sui, like newer kind of ecosystems with much smaller market caps, because I think they're going to run much stronger. But these coins and Cardano and XRP and Ethereum and whatever are pretty much held by everyone. So these coins are used to bring everyone rushing back into the market. And just look, guys, this is the others dominance chart. Okay, it's the percentage dominance of the coins outside the top 10. So how much of the entire market they represent. At the moment, they represent 7.19%. And you can see this line, which since 2017 has acted as support for basically altcoins. You can see back in 2021, this is what the altcoin season looked like. This was 2017. This is what the altcoin season looked like. Right now, we are sat on top of this line, ready to break beyond. How big this goes, who knows, okay? But you can see that there's possible that we see a trend like this emerging. And if altcoins outside the top 10 get to around 20% of the entire crypto market, things are going to be absolutely insane. And you've probably got tons of questions. Am I holding the right altcoins? And am I doing things right? Now, obviously, I can't tell you exactly in one single video the answer to that question because I can't see your portfolio. I don't know how much money you've got. I don't know anything else about you, okay? But if you're subscribed to the House of Crypto, then over the next few days, weeks ahead, I'm going to guide you through what's basically going to be happening. How to manage the risks, how to manage the stress, to avoid aping into coins that have been pumping like crazy, and in fact choose coins that have been a little bit quieter. So for example, Pengu right now is having a great run. If you got in on these lows or these lows, you're probably pretty happy. But there's other coins that typically pump like crazy when the market warms up, like Beam. Look, Beam's all the way down here. And yes, it started to run in the last kind of week or so, up 42%, but this is still of better value. So if you are still trying to get into the market, try and avoid getting into the coins that are already been pumping. That's typically why you might have found yourself in pain, because ultimately a lot of people did that, buying in December into coins that had already pumped a lot to find pretty aggressive pullbacks. If you buy into the coins that have already aggressively pulled back, the chances are the next moves you see are back towards the upside. Now, this is my own personal crypto portfolio, okay? And this is just its performance today. And you can probably recognize a lot of the different coins I hold. Now, it doesn't mean that you should go and copy the same portfolio as me, because we have different appetites for risks. Maybe you've got mortgages to pay. Maybe you've got lots of kids. Maybe you've got more money than me. Maybe you've got less money than me, okay? There's lots of different situations, scenarios. What I would personally do is make sure that you're holding coins that you fully really understand why they will go up when the market starts to run hot. Typically, coins that are run well whenever the market has been hot are good bets. Sui is a pretty damn good bet for that reason, because every time the market warms up, Sui tends to do well. And that's not just because I said it. It's because if you jump across to DeFi Llama and you look at Sui, pretty much everything behind Sui is strong, right? You can see the TVL, total value locked, sits at around $2 billion and has been continuing to look pretty strong despite recent kind of pullbacks into those tariff lows. You can see that the stablecoin market cap is worth about $1 billion every single day, and in fact is starting to show signs of strength here. you can see fees being paid by various different protocols across Sui are increasing. Okay, you can go and see the quality of the projects on Sui, and you can go and start to learn a bit more about why this ecosystem might be doing well. Now, Sei, again, an interesting piece of technology, and you can see from a total value lock perspective, absolutely insane on-chain growth. You can see stablecoins starting to grow as well. Go down below, you see a lot of different projects being built on Sei network. And that's because Sei is able to integrate in with Ethereum, where there's a huge amount of TVL and huge amount of growth going on in that ecosystem. So Sei, definitely worth having a look into. As you can see from here, I'm not holding that much Sei at the moment. Aptos, another one worth taking a look at. Just go and understand a little bit more about why you're holding them. Base the majority of your portfolio around larger cap coins, probably 50, 60, maybe more percentage of your portfolio in larger cap coins. So that if we see moves to the downside, then you're kind of pinned, held in those larger caps. I also think in this first phase of the market that we're going to see soon, a lot of the larger caps will run very strongly. You're seeing Beam here having a good day, Sui, WorldCoin, Aptos, these are all larger cap coins. Smaller caps like Heart down here having a bit of a red day. I also hold Sensei and My Lovely Planet, which aren't really showing on My Lovely Planets here, but you'll see a lot of the smaller caps that will run eventually having a bit of a slow start to life. Okay, Lingo in here and Netmind, others. Okay, just be prepared that not all your coins will run at the same time. So if today I see WorldCoins up a lot and Beams up a lot, don't go and sell your heart to go and ape into this one, because that's doing things the wrong way around. In a few weeks, when Sui's had a great run and Beams had a great run, maybe I'll start to take some profits off of them and I inject it into some of the smaller caps that have been struggling. Again, I'll guide you through this as the market matures and as we kind of work our way through this summer, because I think it's going to be a pretty exciting time. Now guys, if you're looking to buy altcoins and you're not really sure which way to go in terms of using different exchanges, I personally use 3 different exchanges. Okay, Bitunix, link down below. Also, I use BloFin and I use WEEX. Well, none of them require a KYC, and because they're smaller exchanges, it's much easier for smaller cap altcoins to list there. So they're always going to be able to provide me with any of the small cap altcoins or any altcoins I'm pretty much hearing about, because I can go into those exchanges and I can find those altcoins without fail. So having an account in each of those, funded, ready to go, I'm always ready to pull the trigger when I see a good opportunity. And all of those exchanges right now come with incredible bonuses. Okay guys, if you made it this far through the video, do me a favor, hit the like button. If over the past few weeks and months, you've managed to stay in the market and you've managed to stay through all of the pain and suffering, good for you. Okay, you've done really well to get through all of that. You're about to get rewarded in a big way. Let me know down below different coins and things that you're holding. Let me know down below anything you want me to talk about. And if you haven't got anything to say, just leave a full stop or whatever, because it really supports the channel and helps me grow and bring my content out to more people in the hopes of helping more people understand exactly what is going on in these crypto markets. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.